All right, so tonight we're going to go ahead and finish up the part of the teaching about how God displays his power through the air. Got a lot of good verses to go over, so without further ado, let's go ahead and finish on up this ride. Hello, hi, and howdy. This is your man, J.K. Moore, and welcome back to Breaking Tradition. So, past couple of weeks, we've been going over, looking at different verses, different scriptures, showing how God displays his power through the element of air. And tonight, we're going to bring it on home. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right on into it. All right. Get my screen share up here. Q. All right. Okay, so all the verses that we're going to be covering tonight are all coming from the book of Revelation, starting in Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 3. And again, that is Revelation chapter 7, verses 1 through 3. And it reads, "Then I saw four angels standing at the four corners of the earth, holding back the four winds, so they did not blow on the earth or the sea or even on any tree. And I saw another angel coming up from the east, carrying the seal of the living God. And he shouted to those four angels who had been given power to harm land and sea, 'Wait, don't harm the land or the sea, or the trees until we have placed the seal of God on the foreheads of his servants.'" Okay, so right here in these verses of scriptures, these four winds that are being referenced here, at least to the best that I could find in my research, he was actually the angel in verse number 2 was telling these angels that there were other spirits that controlled these winds, or talking to these direct angels who were in control of these winds. And even though they're described as winds, what I found was that they were actually probably the four winds were four judgments that were coming. Now, what we're looking at here is during the period of what's known as the Great Tribulation. And if you look at the tribulation and then the seven plagues, they started with God exercising his judgment through his holy or divine angels onto what we would call nature or the natural world, up to and including outer space. So it was outer space, and then it was on the actual earth itself, as we saw in verse number 7, the seas, the land, the trees, the air. So it started off affecting these judgments, started off affecting the natural, but then the last three of those judgments were directly on mankind, okay, affecting humans and animals directly. So this is still part of the first, which is why the angel shouted to them to hold up, do not let your winds, or do not let these particular judgments come onto the earth until the foreheads of God's servants are sealed. Now, who are these servants? If you read like the next, I want to say maybe verse down or one or two verses down, it talks about 144,000. And these 144,000 are, for lack of a better term, 144,000 people who are going to be raised up during the period of tribulation, sealed by God, so that the tribulation effects would not affect them. They wouldn't come to any harm. They wouldn't come to any judgment. They wouldn't come to any danger. And then it breaks down where that 144,000 came from, but not to stray too far off on that. We'll circle back around to that on another day. But as far as these four winds, these four particular judgments that are about to come and wreak some more damage onto the natural world, and of course, naturally, human beings too. So even though the last three of those are directly pointed to humans, quite naturally, if there's judgments being wrought on the seas and on the earth and on the trees and all these other things, well, people still live on and amongst these things. So by just virtue of proximity, some of that judgment would blow off on them. Now, again, you see in verse number 3, it says, don't bring any harm. Y'all just hold up. Don't do nothing yet until these particular amount of people are sealed, so that, again, they will not get hurt, and even more so important, would not die in these judgments that are being carried through by these 4 winds. All right. So now we are going to go to Revelation chapter 8, and we're going to start with verse number 10. Okay. Revelation chapter 8, starting with verse number 10. And it reads, then the third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from the sky, burning like a torch. It fell on 1/3 of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star was Bitterness. It made 1/3 of the water bitter, and many people died from drinking the bitter water. So this star could be a couple of things. Could just be what John, the Apostle John, who wrote the book of Revelation, could be a comet, could be a meteor that he just perceived. And of course, if it's blazing through from outer space, it's on fire as it's entering Earth's atmosphere and then crashing. Well, it could very well be perceived as a star. But there's another frame of reference, or another way to look at this. In the writings of Enoch, a lot of what we call stars, which is what we just think are like our sun, just a huge conglomeration of gases, heat, all these other things that shoot off light. You know, when we look up in the sky at night, the bright twinkling lights, we see stars like that, are actually not, again, amalgamations of gases and giving off light and these things. They're actually spiritual beings. So, again, in these two right here, where he says that a great star fell from the sky burning like a torch, could be an actual solar body, comet, meteor, or it could actually be a spirit that, again, in the writings of Enoch, he refers to a lot of and he calls them that stars. They're not actually non-spiritual or non-living beings like what we call stars and what we typically know as stars. No, these are actual spiritual beings. So this could be a spirit that came flying down and affected the water. Now, we're not told how long it takes from where this star fell, or in other words, where it initially landed. But it did say 1/3 of the rivers and of the springs across the entire planet. Now, a natural, again, let's just say a comet or a meteor, it would take some time for it to affect the waterways like that. But then again, how would a comet or meteor know to stop at just affecting 1/3 of the rivers, or 1/3 of the springs, or 1/3 of the ocean, 1/3 of anything? Okay, these aren't thinking things. These aren't living, thinking beings. They're just collections of rock and dust and ice and things like that. But a spiritual being, looking at it as a star, would know when to stop. And especially if it's being sent by God the Father as one of the judgments on the earth, yes, it would be given specific instructions: just affect this much of the water and don't go any further. And so it would know, okay, just affect the 1/3 and leave the rest alone, making the drinking water bitter because people died from it. So definitely up to interpretation. I ain't here to tell nobody, which way you think. Okay, again, whether it's just a rock that falls from outer space that does this, or if it's an actual spiritual being that is this star that does this. Me, myself, at one point, I was thinking, okay, yeah, he's talking about a rock, he's talking about a meteor, talking about a comet, something like that. But knowing what I know now, I'm leaning more in the camp of no, this is definitely a living, thinking being. Because again, how would it know just to stop at affecting 1/3 of the water, making it deadly to drink? Unless it did have that intelligence to know its measure, to follow instructions of how far to go. So, hey, again, I'll leave it up to y'all good people. All right. All right. So now we're staying right here, and we're going to verses 12 and 13, still in Revelation 8, and it reads, Then the fourth angel blew his trumpet, and 1/3 of the sun was struck, and 1/3 of the moon, and 1/3 of the stars, and they became dark. And 1/3 of the day was dark, and also 1/3 of the night. Then I looked, and I heard a single eagle crying loudly as it flew through the air. Terror, terror, terror to all who belong to this world, because of what will happen when the last three angels blow their trumpets. All righty, right. Now, verse number 12 here sounds very familiar. A couple of weeks ago, we were going over the book of Exodus, where, again, a very similar event was going on. In the book of Exodus, God was just executing his judgment directly on Pharaoh and on the country of Egypt. Fast forward however many millennia, and now we're seeing God affecting judgment on the entire planet, still for the same core purpose, because of human beings' disobedience, because of their unfaithfulness, because of their bowing down themselves to other gods and idols and going on with pagan and manly and ungod traditions. So remember, in the book of Exodus, we saw how God did the same thing. He executed a judgment, caused the sun to, at least in this example, it just says 1/3 of the sun. Remember in Exodus, no, the entirety of the sun was blacked out for 3 days. Complete and total darkness. Said the darkness was so thick that you could feel it. Man, that still blows my mind trying to wrap my head around that. But anyway, but here we get 1/3 of the sun, the moon, and the stars. And it said they became dark. These stars right here, yeah, I'm actually led to believe, these are the solar bodies, the gas, just like our sun. Our sun is a star, just pretty much a big ball of constant nuclear reactions going on 24/7. These other stars, to a lesser degree, same exact thing. So when it says that they became dark, as in other words, they're not giving off their light, going back to Genesis, when God said he created the sun and the moon and the stars for light, well, right here, he's snatching a lot of that light away. So imagine, if you will, because y'all know I like to do the whole, let's, try to put our heads in this space that we're reading about here. It's a daytime. Now, at this point, you've already gone through and experienced all types of other, for lack of a better term, hellacious events. When the other three trumpets were blown, and now we got trumpet number 4 being blown here, and we're getting this. Standing outside, just like with the example with Egypt in Exodus. Middle of the day, all of a sudden, gets pitch black dark, or a bit darker than when we get a solar eclipse. Middle of the day, the moon comes up that night, and it's supposed to be a full moon, but same thing. It's extremely dark, and you get about half of the moon being darked out. Same thing with the sun, about half of the sun being darkened. But even scarier, huge patch of the sky, You can't make out any stars. Now we ain't talking about this. Ain't no cloudy night, okay, or just in cities that have because of their because of street lights, they cause a lot of the stars not to be able to be seen. Okay, no, you could be out standing in the middle of the field in the country somewhere where any given night where it's not cloudy, you see, I mean, just countless amount of stars. And one giant section of the sky is just completely darked out or darkened. Guess that's better grammar. All the rest of the sky, yep, see the stars twinkling, doing their thing. But just that one section. And you got it going on during the day. So during the day it was dark, and also at nighttime, darker than usual for night. God, up until this point, has been trying to get people's attention on this doggone planet. And if you read through the book of Revelation, you'll read after each one of these accounts to where it said that the unbelievers, instead of them repenting and saying, okay, God, you know what? I give up. I give myself to you. Truly, there is something beyond whatever science has taught me is going on here. This ain't natural. Oddly enough, during that time, that's exactly what you're going to have happen. You're going to have so many scientists explaining away these different natural events, these different trumpet blows and tribulations and judgments as, no, you know, the solar system, the Earth, it goes through the universe. It goes through this every so many millions or billions of years. This is just ordinary, nothing to worry about. Never mind the fact that there are no records from billions of years ago that can, or even millions of years ago, that can actually prove that theory of what they were going to be telling people. That there was nobody around billions of years ago, you know, writing this stuff down and or recording it on video or anything. No, it wasn't none of that. But that's what they're going to tell people. And that's what so many people are going to believe. Other people, they're going to know that it's God. Or if not one to acknowledge it as God, they're going to know that it's something beyond science, okay? Something supernatural at least. And it said that they are going to double down in their rebellion and disobedience and curse God because of what's going on. Or curse whomever they're going to choose to blame for this. Instead of turning, instead of repenting, instead of taking that, for a lot of them, one last opportunity to get it right. Nah, they're going to double down in their disbelief or just double down in their hardcore rebellion. Never mind the fact, like I said, of what these people have witnessed. And to a person with reasonable intelligence, that would get them to say, okay, God, everything I've heard about you, everything I've seen or read about you must be real at this point. I better tighten up and get myself right while I still can. Nah. You'll have one out of every so many tens or hundreds that will, they'll take the hint, and yes, they will repent and accept Jesus as their savior and pray to God. The rest of them, nah, they're gonna dig their heels in. So if number 12 wasn't bad enough, and well, I shouldn't say bad enough, but if number 12 ain't enough to get people to change their mind, number 13, when you see and hear a doggone eagle flying through the sky across the world and is speaking to you and giving you one last final warning, God dog y'all, if that ain't enough to do it, then honestly, nothing will. If the other judgments from the other trumpets didn't do it, if having your days and your nights mostly darkened out, don't do it. And a doggone, like again, says eagle. Now, this could be another angelic being. I tend to think it's not because, okay, for instance, look at verse number 12. It specifically identifies this as an angel, the fourth angel. But in number 13, John specifically identified this as an eagle. Now, you could say, well, maybe it's an angel who has the head of an eagle or who has the appearance of an eagle, which is very, very likely. Very likely. There's examples all through the Old Testament describing heavenly, holy, angelic beings and them having body parts of animals up to and including the eagle. So if this could be an angel. Okay, let's take it even at that. Let's say it is an angelic being that just happened to have the head, the wings, the tail of an eagle. Still, you're seeing this being flying through the sky, and it's telling you not once, not twice, 3 times, terror, terror, terror. Ain't nothing good about the word terror. There is no synonym for the word terror that points to anything being good or favorable. It's where we get words like terrible, where we get words like terrorist. These are horrible things. So it's telling you horrible, horrible, horrible things to all who belong to this world. And what's going to happen, y'all, when those last 3 angels blow their trumpets? And that's what I was talking about a few minutes ago. Those last 3 trumpet judgments are directed specifically to humans and to a lower extent animals. So the eagle being here, again, is still trying to give these people one last warning. Everything God has done up to this point has been trying to give them warning. This, again, is a perfect parallel to the plagues of Egypt in Exodus. Each one, God was trying to give these people some measurement of warning, chance after chance after chance after chance to come out of what you're doing, come out of your stubbornness, come out of your rebellion, come out of your sin. Just turn to me and you'll be good to go. Now, even if physical wise, you're not spared and you happen to get caught up in all the rest of this is going to happen, well, at least the most important part will happen. You will save your soul, which is more eternal than these bodies anyway. That's honestly the whole goal, the whole point of being saved and coming into a relationship with the Godhead, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. It's for eternal life. I mean, yeah, we got to live out this earthly existence for as long as he chooses to have us here. But even with that, okay, it's supposed to all be pointing everything we do in what I call these flesh bags. It's supposed to all be leading up to our eternal existence, our eternal life. So, yeah, like I said, if all these other things black out, doggone talking eagle trying to warn you don't do it, then again, as the book of Revelation tells us, yeah, it is, but pretty much all the rest of this ain't going to do it either. And if you keep on reading from here going forward to actually see the effects of the last 3 trumpets, like I said, you'll still find people still cursing God, acknowledging again that there's either a God or some creation, overall supernatural being who's doing this. And some people's hearts will still be so hard as to just curse this God rather than turn to him. And for no other reason, with you would think for the hope that you might get spared from all that's going on, or at least the rest that's coming. But as I always say, y'all, humans ain't changed, ain't changed, ain't changed. That account from Exodus was how many thousands of years ago? And that look, here we are, how many thousands of years later, whenever all this is going to take place, still got them hard-hearted jokers. Humans are going to human. And it ain't going to change, all right, until Jesus comes back with his elect. When that's going to be and who those elect are going to be, I cannot tell you. All right, God ain't hit me to that information. The only thing I'm focused on is making sure that I am one of those elect. So it's up to each person themselves. All right. All righty. Okay. So now, still in the book of Revelation, turn to chapter 14. And we're going to be looking at verses 6 through 8. I'm grabbing some water right quick. Revelation 14, 6 through 8. Okay. And it reads, and I saw another angel flying through the sky, carrying the eternal good news to proclaim to the people who belong to this world, to every nation, tribe, language, and people. Fear God, he shouted, give glory to him, for the time has come when he will sit as judge. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all the springs of water. Then another angel followed him through the sky, shouting, Babylon is fallen, that great city is fallen, because she made all the nations of the world drink the wine of her passionate immorality. Okay, so we are ending here on somewhat of a, I would say, a good note. We got an angel flying again. Now, the last verse, 8:13, it said an eagle, but we're right back to identifying these as angels. So, like I said, take it how you will with the eagle. But if it's a real eagle, which I believe it is, or just one of the angels that happen to have the head and wings of an eagle. But anyway, said that this one went flying through the sky, the eternal good news to all people of the world, every nation, tribe, language, and people. This parallels Revelation chapter, I know the first mention of it is in chapter 5, and then you get chapter 7 in Revelation 7, where it mentions how John saw people from every nation, tribe, language, it's every kindred, every tongue. In other words, it means something everybody, okay? And he's flying around the world to everybody, letting them know. Give glory to him. Him who? God the Father. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all springs of the water. Again, giving these people probably the slimmest of last chances. The absolute slimmest of last chances to whoever's left at this time. And if you look through the book of Revelation, especially after it talks about the 7 plagues, and this was after the trumpets that were blown, and it talked about how after each one of these events, how much of humanity was wiped out by that event. So again, one last chance to tell whoever's left, give God glory, glorify him, thank him that you all are still alive. Because I'm sure as you look around you, okay, you probably know many people who did not make it through all those events. And it's interesting that he mentions worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and the heavens, remember, includes the sky, the earth, the sea, and all springs of water. Again, parallels goes right back to Genesis, to where God created man to have dominions over the heavens, the earth, and the sea, and every creature that inhabits all 3 of them. Where have we seen these judgments executed before they just started getting pointed directly to humans? In the heavens, the earth, and the sea, and the springs of water. We went over a couple of them. In other words, yeah, glorify the one who you see and execute these judgments through these different dominions, through these dimensions, through these realms. Yeah, he's shown you people beyond the shadow of a doubt now that when it comes to these things, he's the ultimate shot caller, okay? He running all of this. Glorify him. Worship him. You've seen the works of his hands. You have seen his power executed. What chance do y'all think y'all have? Now we know that there's going to be some again, even after all this, there are going to be those who are still deluded and bold enough that are going to go to war against the Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, or Jesus the Christ, if you will, and his heavenly host. They are going to see a dimensional portal open up, see him come down with these people ascending, and they are still going to be arrogant enough to think that they have a snowball's chance in hell of winning a war against him. See what I mean when I said in verse number 7, this angel shouting to these people, glorify, in other words, change, give your life to him now while you still have the slimmest of time and chance. Because please believe, okay, this reprieve is not going to last long before the next one comes. But it's awesome in verse number 8 that the other angel came through. Babylon is fallen, the great city is fallen, because she made all the nations of the world drink the wine of her passionate immorality. When it's talking about Babylon here, it's not talking about the actual city of Babylon, which is located in probably about the lower midish southern part of the country of modern day Iraq. Not talking about that city. When it's talking about Babylon here, it's talking about the spirit of Babylon, which is exactly what it names here in verse number 8. Not just the passionate immorality, okay, all of it, greed, screwing people over in business, lust for wealth and riches, no matter how you have to get them. Lying, okay, pretty much all the big boy sins that are mentioned, that entails a Babylonian spirit, and of course lying, which was the last I said, all of it. So when it says Babylon is fallen, that great city, yes, that mindset, that spiritual mindset has fallen, is defeated. It's not going to spread through, at least for a while, because read further. Matter of fact, what's this, Revelation 14? Well, yeah, you're reading like 4 or 5 chapters from now and see all types of stuff going on, Satan being bound up, but then Satan being loosed again for a while. But for right now, that spirit has been fallen, not spreading to anybody else. Now, the people in this war, the war at Armageddon, clearly they still have that spirit or that mindset in their hearts. Because like I said, they're going to go to war with Jesus and his holy elect. They're going to do it. But if you read a little further here, it talks about how the merchants, pretty much all the people who have gotten rich, who have lived decadent, extravagant lives off of operating through this evil Babylonian, I should say, spiritual mindset, they're going to see it. They're going to see the works and the fruit of it just begin to crumble just like that. And it talks about how they're going to cry out and, oh, whoa, and oh, man, this is horrible. This is atrocious. We're never going to see this level like this again, which is exactly what Revelation says. Now, there's some people who believe that after Jesus, pretty much after Revelation 21, where it talks about the new earth, the new heaven, after Jesus sets up dominion on the earth, how there's going to still be a system of monetary exchange, how these things are still going to have value. Well, we know they're going to carry some value. And by these things, I'm talking about the actual created metals and precious jewels, because it talks about how the street of the new Jerusalem and new heaven, okay, is made out of beautiful, pure gold. It's like glass. You'll be able to see through it. Talks about the different gates with the pearls and these things. Oh, okay, yeah. But there is nowhere, at least nowhere that specifies to where the current system monetary exchange that we have is going to be set up after this new earth is created. I'm going to believe it's not going to happen. There'll be no reason for it. The reason why we have it set up now is so we can purchase the services, the food, the goods, everything we need to survive. And I mean, let's be honest, also some of we use for things we don't need to survive. They're just things we want. Okay. Outside of that, there'll be no purpose for that because, again, it describes in this new earth system, everything is going to be provided by Jesus. So it's not going to even, we're not going to even need the sun anymore because his Shekinah glory, the holy light of God, is going to be beaming so brightly, it's going to light up the entire world. It should probably light up our entire solar system, which our sun does too for most planets. Not going to need to purchase food anymore. Okay, it's going to be a brand new reformed earth. Pretty much earth is going to be remade to the way it was, this current earth was made the way it was intentionally supposed to be. So yeah, that's why these people who solely put their trust and their love in their monetary value and their wealth and their money, that's why they're going to be crying, because that system is coming down. Not to say, you gotta know there's going to be people out there who thinking I'm saying this. No, money is not evil. That is not what that passage says. It says the love of money is the root to all evil. And it's talking about people who are so money hungry, who are so lustful and greedy for it, that they'll do any evil and immoral thing to get it. So no, money, with wealth, riches, no, those things are not evil. If they were, then why would God have blessed Solomon with wealth the world had never seen and would never see again? No, it wasn't just talking about like spiritual wealth and knowledge. No, he gave him those things because that's what he specifically asked for. He said, these other things I'm going to add to you. And no, he was talking about, that green, okay? Them greenbacks. Won't be any need for that. Will not be any need for that anymore. So, yes, this Babylonian spiritual system, this evil system that just breeds all types of evil spirits that operate through people. That's what he is saying, that great city is fallen, that what that city represents. And of course, if you want to know more about that, man, good God, the book of Daniel is an excellent resource. But just go back and read up on Babylon and all the different happenings that took place there. That took place there. So where a lot of the initial idolization of different gods, pagan traditions, a lot of things they end up getting co-opted into Christianity that people still practice today. Yeah, they were birthed out of Babylon. So that's what he's talking about here. So yeah, like I said, kind of a good note here. People being given one last chance, or at least one of the one's last chance, probably next to the last chance, a warning anyway, to glorify the one, you've seen demonstrate through these different realms and dimensions. You better give him honor and glory while you still can. You better reconcile yourself back to him while you still have the opportunity. And again, that spiritual Babylonian system brought down, done with. So I think that's ends on a good note. So that is where we will end that on a good note. So we are officially done looking at how God displays his power through the element of air in the heavens. And Lord willing, we'll come back next week and we'll wrap this entire God's display of elemental power up with or at least I think, probably the most prominent one in the entire Bible. And of course, it's the only one we haven't gotten to yet, water. But even with the air verses, as with everything else, did not cover everything, did not cover them all. So there's still plenty of good verses to go back through and check out how God displays his power. You know what? Let me bring that one more again, as they say. Okay, yeah. I was kind of looking at out the corner of my eye here. Want to make sure it didn't say language. Okay, yeah, I was looking for tongues. Got different translation. Okay, so yes, so that is where we are going to end it at here, good people. And like I said, definitely go and check out any other verses that are in the Bible where it shows how God displays his power through the element of air. And check out the other two we've done so far, the element of earth and land and the element of fire. Plenty of great examples of all three of them. And like I said, water is probably the biggest one. And we're definitely going to look at a good handful of those. Not all of them, mind you, but a good handful of them. Okay. So, as always, I thank y'all so much for joining this old country boy and listen to me John about it. Appreciate you. Love you. And if you're watching this on YouTube and Rumble, if you would, please do all that good YouTube and Rumble stuff for me. Make sure to like the video, subscribe/follow the channel, drop a comment, talk about it, give me your perspective, give me your revelations on what we talked about here or anything we've talked about so far. Would love to hear from you. And also share the video if you know somebody who might want to hear the information or who might need to hear the information. Hey, go ahead and share it on over to them. And if you want to listen to this episode or any other episode on the go, you will find the links to the audio versions in the video description. You head over to Spotify, Amazon Audible, iHeartRadio, and Spreaker.com. Type in Breaking Tradition. Look for the logo, and it's wide open to you there. And remember, both video and audio versions are completely for free. Do not do memberships. Do not do subscriptions. So listen to them, download, play them, share them with other people to your heart's content. And appreciate it. Love y'all so much. So guys, until then, make sure to stay safe, stay prayed up, love yourselves, love other people even more. Let's not be like the people that we read about here tonight, having to go through straight up the judgments of God before we decide to turn to him and do what it is that he asked us to do. Let's do it now before they start coming down even harsher. And by even harsher, I mean, I do believe we are at the end of the age. We are in those times. And we don't know when Jesus is coming back. We don't know what's next on the docket or the agenda. Ain't really trying to find out, tell the truth. Like I said, not trying to be like these people and wait till the last minute to get it right. So let's do it now while we still have the opportunity. And guys, as with everything, just stay prayed up, stay vigilant, stay faithful. Stay faithful, okay? And of course, above all, make sure you stay safe, guys, all right? Lord willing, we will be back here to do it all again. So until then, love you all, appreciate you, and I will see y'all when I see you. Peace.